What's up, everyone? As you know, the US Open is in full flight and there have been a ton of upsets throughout this tournament. One amazing performer has been James Willstrop. And I wanted to take a few minutes to recognize and celebrate James Willstrop's magic at the age of 38. Squash TV folks shared an amazing stat that he is officially the oldest PSA player to reach the quarterfinals of a platinum event before. So congratulations to James Willstrop. I grew up watching Willstrop. He's 2 or 3 years older than I am. So all the years as I was growing up, he was one of the guys that I would watch with David Palmer and eventually Rami and obviously Amar Shabana and Jonathan Power and all those guys. So I'm really excited to share this video with you about James Willstrop. So the format I want to take is I'm going to talk a little bit about what makes him so good, and then I'm going to share 3 rallies. I tried to keep it nice and concise. So 3 rallies. I'm going to show you the rally, then I'm going to break down some of the subtleties and all of the amazing skills that he uses piece by piece. So first up, what makes him so good? He is so accurate. He not just is he accurate with his foundations, but he puts holds in. He changes the pace. He changes the angles. His awareness on court about his opponents is just so high that he always places the ball at the right time. But not only does he have all of the creativity, the hands, the accuracy, the targets, etc., his work ethic, his relentlessness, he's just always going. He never gives up. He just leaves it all out there on the squash court, so he never has any regret later. And actually, I can't recall if I shared this with you, but there is a former UCLA basketball coach named John Wooden, and his definition of success was having the peace of mind that is associated with knowing that you did the best that you are capable of at that point in time. And I truly believe that James Willstrop leads his life, at least on the squash court, with that definition of success. So there's no regret later in his life. When you think about what allows Willstrop to play this way, it is thousands upon thousands of hours of practice. But the key is that it is purposeful, intention-based, awareness-based practice. I want you to take a minute to think about that, because the more you raise your awareness about what is going on, why it's happening, why it worked. When you become more aware, you suddenly open up your mind to new possibilities, and you can make different choices which allow you to get the results that you want. And if you raise your awareness, you can now structure and go into each session with a new level of purpose and intention behind your specific goals and what you want to get out of that training session. So keep that stuff in mind, guys. If you enjoy improving your own game, those are some very valuable tips that I think will help you go a long way towards improving your game. So let's check it out. Here we go. Rally number 1. I'm just going to play it. You guys watch, pick up on some of the subtleties, and then we'll talk about it. It's so hard to just be quiet when the magic is on. Make some notes if you can. And this was a great match. If you haven't watched the match with Willstrop and Abulgar from round 3, I believe, you should check it out. It went to 5, and you could see Willstrop's, there it is, excitement and celebration when he won the match. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to slow it down, and we're going to check it out piece by piece. So the classic lob serve, forcing Abulgar to volley nice and tight. First shot right away, he changes the angle and the pace. Nice lob, forces a loose ball from Abulgar, and then puts the squeeze drop in. So this is where his combos begin. So notice from this position, watch his follow through. First of all, look how low he's getting to the ball, because you have to adjust your height relative to the height of the ball. And I'm going to show you a little diagram of this later. Once he gets low, watch where his racket goes. Look at that follow through. So on the drop shot, it's a full follow through to guide that ball into the front corner. He's not going for the nick per se. Well, he did actually catch a bit of a nick, but from that angle, he's trying to squeeze it and keep it as short as possible. And clearly he puts it quite short, because you see that stretch from Abulgar. And as soon as he puts that drop in, he pushes up to look for the next ball. Abulgar manages to get a nice lob, gives enough angle to prevent Willstrop from volleying it, so he waits. And now from this position, you're going to get to see he continues to attack And look how low he gets over here. This is what I wanted to show you. The ball that he hit was low. Willstrop is a tall guy, so for any of you tall players out there, look how low you need to get your swing in the right path to put that ball straight into that front part of the court. If you're totally upright and you're swinging, your swing path doesn't look the same. You have to make adjustments. But this is just a key. Like, it's just so good to see him at 38. You know, when you're older, it's probably harder to get lower, especially when you're such a tall guy. So take a look at that and imprint that image in your brain so that you can go and execute it yourself. And then again, Abulgar stuck over here, so Willstrop is again going for that perfect attacking drop over here, going for the nick, misses a bit, and right there he volleys, but he respects and resets in this position because he's not in the right position to continue the relentless attacking. So he sets that volley quickly to get back on the tee and push Abulgar into the back of the court. And if you don't know what the respect and reset phrase I'm referring to is all about, I'll link to it over here. It's in a previous video I created. The lob isn't quite good enough, so Abulgar gets on it. Willstrop is under a bit of pressure, tries to lift, and there's that grit. So just going for that ball, getting under it. And then look at that. This was something that is very subtle. So watch when Willstrop hits this ball. So right here, he hits it. It's loose on the front wall, technically, but look how perfect his angle is. So this ball is going to come, and right where Abulgar wants to volley the ball, Willstrop's angling his length so it catches the side wall right where Abulgar is going to volley, which means he can no longer volley and gets pushed into the back of the court. And it hits the side wall, and it pops out a little bit in the back, but the weight of stroke is pretty good too. But he eliminates that volley. So this is a misconception in a lot of people's minds. People think that tight length equals ball is glued to the side wall the entire time. Well, depending on the angle from which you are hitting, that a tight length or an effective length is one that gets your opponent off the tee. And that would be when you can get the right angle so that it catches the sidewall right when your opponent wants to volley that ball, and they can't volley it. They either jam their racket on the wall trying to volley. If they are not quick enough mentally and physically to adjust back, you either squeeze the opponent right there or you push them into the back, make them do work, extra work, and you get on the tee. So that's a really important note for all of you guys when it comes to a tight length and the definition of a tight length. And then from there, Willstrop just hits this nice rallying length. He's not in a big rush. He just resets. See, all these lengths are around service line height. And there's the magical finish from the back. So if you watch this, look at it. Look how low he gets. Again, very low, in line with the ball. Hits through and then guides the ball with the body and the racket, so it's all happening in one flow as he does it, and the execution is just perfect. And the reason this was also so effective is because he normally, in this rally so far, had been hitting long from the mid and back court. He was attacking when he was in front, he was hitting short when he was in front, but this was the first long drop that he hit, which also broke the pattern in Abulgar's mind, and the finish was clinical. So epic combination there. And Abulgar knows because it just hits the nick. He doesn't even try to go for it. So when I think about that, this leads me to just highlight a few considerations for any aspiring players. First point is around patience, consistency, grit, resilience, determination. Abulgar returned 2 amazing drop shots that Willstrop hit from the mid and front part of the court. Willstrop had to hit 3 really good drops in order to win the rally. What I see a lot of players doing, honestly, I'm guilty of this too, is if you hit 1 or 2 good shots, you try to get finer and finer and finer, and that's where the tins start coming into play. And you also notice that Willstrop hit 3 lobs to the back. He hit 3 rallying lengths, which were shots around the service line to just get onto the tee and get back into the position that he wanted to be in. And he mixed up the pace and the angles. So when the first attack didn't work, if he had the opportunity to continue it, he did. If he didn't, he reset the ball into the back of the court and got back on the tee and basically reset in his mind to say, okay, rally starting back at par. But in the back of his mind, he also knows that, hey, I've put in some work into Abulgar. I've damaged him a little bit. I've made him work kind of hard. I've moved him around, but he hit a good ball, so I have to respect that. And now we go back to neutral ground. And now I'm going to create the next opportunity to jump on the volley and attack. So that sort of mindset is critical for any aspiring player. You notice from a technical perspective, this is point 3, Willstrop got super, super low. Again, he's a tall guy, so the taller you are, the lower you have to get, unless your opponents hit a very high loose ball that's bouncing up to your waist height, then you don't have to bend as much. But any ball that's a little bit lower, you have to get in line with it so that you can actually execute the shot effectively for numerous reasons. And the fourth thing that you notice is that Willstrop's racket prep adjusted given the height, the pace, and basically the overall pressure that he was under when he was hitting that shot. And if you want to get more details on this, I will link to a video I created using Paul Cole as an example of changing your racket prep depending on the quality of ball that you are receiving. So check that out if you want to know more details about that. So now let's get into rally number 2 that I want to share with you. So just watch this one. I'll try to remain as silent as possible. There are a few other subtleties that pop out in this rally, and we'll talk about them in a few minutes. Well, in a minute. Okay, so let's watch this one in slower motion. So number 1, under pressure, just defending. He's not trying to do anything fancy. I've been guilty of this in the past. A lot of juniors are very guilty of this. I'm sure you have done this at some point too. If you're watching this and you play, when you're under pressure, you try to do something that's not there, and you either open up the court or you hit the tin. A lot of juniors try to hit little trickle boasts and stuff when they're not quite there, and it results in errors. It can become a winner sometimes if your skill level is high enough and you're balanced enough and you get there early enough. But if you are under that pressure, the right shot is to give yourself time. So Willstrop gives himself time and is pretty accurate, forcing Abulgar to volley. If he didn't volley, he would have been pinned in the back. So now from here, Willstrop is just playing that rallying length, trying to get back onto the tee, and check out that hold, since you'll see the effect of this in a minute. So loose ball, well, short ball, and from this position, Willstrop normally hits one of 2 shots. He might hit the straight drop, or he might hit the straight drive. And in this time, he held the ball a little bit and then played the boast. And I wasn't going to call this out, but from a technical position, look at that follow through. So I make this mistake, which is why I'm going to call it out. When I hit the boast, I have a tendency to kind of stop my swing a little bit too short. Look at how much he extends that follow through to really hit through the ball on the boast. It's a lesson that I'm marking in my own brain right now. So from here, check this out. So Abulgar's first step was going this way because he expected the ball to be in that left channel, either deep or short. From the way he was moving, it looked like he thought it was going to be short. And then he had to make that quick adjustment and turn because of Willstrop's hold. Now, Abulgar, as you know, picked up this shot, but this kind of work, if you can do this once or twice a rally, the way Willstrop did in this rally, it quickly adds up into your opponent's legs and in their mind, because it creates doubt and they never feel settled. So if your opponent is reading you and then all of a sudden you throw in a few holds, it suddenly creates a ton of doubt anytime you are in this hitting position, because your opponent doesn't know what to expect. So play around with some holds if you feel like you are at the place where you have enough skill and your foundations are solid, because it creates a lot of doubt and physical work in your opponent's legs and mind. So from here, Abulgar does get that back, and you notice Willstrop pushes up on the tee to try to hunt the volley, and Abulgar goes for the lob. It's a little bit short. I mean, given Willstrop's height, he manages to get it. And where does he hit? He hits into the open space, making Abulgar do work. So this is just basic tactics. So even the best players in the world use these basic tactics as something to really consider in your own game. Making Abulgar go back, do the work. He hits a good length. So what does Willstrop do? He just resets it to try to get it back. There's another hold. So check out the subtleties on this one. So Abulgar plays that cross kill, but it's not accurate enough and it pops off the side wall. So anytime it hits that side wall, it slows down a bit, and then Willstrop can come and do something with it, especially if he reads the ball, which he did. And look, he comes in, drops the racket back. He normally plays the straight drop from this position. He holds, and then punches the ball straight. And look at Abulgar's first step is this way, and then he has to put that left foot down to adjust to go back. So again, a lot of work physically and mental doubt created by Willstrop over here. He gets that ball, he has to defend. He defends well. So Willstrop, what does he do? He doesn't force another attack. He resets the ball with the lob. So again, respect and reset idea. Abulgar puts the drop in. Willstrop goes and defends again. Loose ball. And now this was really cool because in this case, a lot of players put their racket back and they look for their opponent and they look to get a stroke. But what does Willstrop do? He uses his skill. He uses his awareness of Abulgar's position, knowing that Abulgar is stuck behind him, and he plays the ball into the open court, into the front. And again, this requires a lot of skill, which is why Willstrop is able to execute it. Most players would kind of fish for that stroke, and if the ball has come deep and far back enough and your opponent is right behind you and you genuinely can't swing, it is a stroke. But most players exaggerate and they turn and they look for their opponent. Willstrop is just playing the ball, which is one of many reasons why I respect him so much. And there's the drop, and Abulgar stuck way in the back. It's a guarantee, and this is the other thing, guys, it's a guaranteed point if you can put that ball anywhere on that front wall when your opponent is stuck behind you. The fishing for the stroke, you're not guaranteed to get a stroke unless it's actually an obvious stroke. So something to keep in mind where you can win the point outright or you can take your chances. I like to try to take control of the situation and win the point outright if I'm able. Okay, let's check out the last rally. And you'll presumably see several of the things we've already talked about. And I'll highlight them again with, I think, 1 or 2 new things in this one rally. Okay, it's the classic Willstrop fake, and then put it in. I love it. Okay, here we go. Starts off just getting that ball into the back corner off the serve return. Nice defending by Abulgar. It's rallying length a bit short by Willstrop, and this was cool. See, when you volley, a lot of this, and I'm targeting this towards many of the juniors that I coach. When they get on the volley, they think that they need to attack that volley. But you notice over here, Willstrop volleys, and he actually volleys high just to reset the ball, hold his position on the tee, push Abulgar into the back. And this is where that mental patience and knowing that there's going to be a better opportunity, this is where that mindset comes into play. And check this out. So he plays that lob. Again, it caught the sidewall right where Abulgar may have wanted to volley it. And just that volley lob is so tight to that sidewall, where he squeezes Abulgar right away. Goes in for the counter drop a little bit high, but Abulgar does well to defend. And then what does Willstrop do? He did the exact same thing in the first rally I showed you guys. He just plays that lob into the back of the court. It's a pretty cool way to hit it. I mean, rotating and everything. I haven't seen that before. So he plays the lob into the opposite corner. Ends up actually putting a ton of pressure onto Abulgar. And here, this is such a position because you have no idea what Willstrop is going to hit from here. He could hit the straight drop, the trickle boast, the cross kill, the cross drive, the straight drive, like literally any shot from here. And what does he do? He plays the cross kill. Kudos to Abulgar for holding his position and not cheating or guessing before Willstrop has hit it. But you notice that he changes the pattern. So Willstrop changed the pattern and Abulgar reacted well. Super explosive and plyometric. Gets that ball, does what he needs to do to defend. And notice Willstrop stays nice and high on the tee. Takes that high tee position to continue to hunt and volley. Abulgar does really well to pick up that ball as well. And notice Willstrop is going to accelerate onto this ball. There's the acceleration. And the thought is when you accelerate that quickly, it's good to just go play that straight drop because you've now taken time away from your opponent. He plays the little fan, does the little fake, and you'll see I'm going literally frame by frame here because you get to see Abulgar's weight is going backwards because of that little fake. And see that right foot is still going back, momentum is still going back. And then Willstrop plays the drop and he can't react because all of his body weight is going back because of that fake. So I'm going to show this to you from one more angle really quickly because there were some cool subtleties here. So check this out. This was really neat because watch where Willstrop makes contact with this ball. So look how he's actually leaning forward a little bit, and he makes contact with that ball in front. So if you see me from the side, what most people do, and a lot of juniors I coach do this, is they wait till the ball gets behind them and then they try to cut it off over here. What Willstrop is doing, he's actually stepping forward and taking that ball out in front. And the reason you're doing that is especially if your opponent is behind you, by taking the ball in front, you not only kind of give yourself a nice angle, you have to practice to kind of change your grip a little bit and change your swing a bit, but you take the ball early, taking time away from your opponent. So he does that really, really well over there. And notice that follow through. I wasn't going to call that out, but check out the follow through on the drop. Most people go and they flick, and look at that. It's like a full extension on the drop for the follow through. And then look how quickly he steps up here, and there Abulgar's body is still going backwards. So ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to share that, just those 3 clips, because just 3 rallies show you so many elements of what Willstrop does so well. And what's really, really cool, it just hit me, is that just in even one of those rallies, I could have probably shared only one of them, and you would have seen 5, 6, 7 different elements and layers of squash in one rally, from his holds to changing patterns to changing pace and angles, from attacking in the back, attacking in the front, just combinations, respect and reset. He does all of it in every rally, and that's why even at 38 he's able to go and play against these top 20 players and have really, really good matches, if not winning them. He beat Marwan, he beat Abulgar, and he had a pretty good match with Momin as well. So pretty darn impressive if you ask me, especially at 38. I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment. Let's have an awesome discussion about Willstrop and how amazing he is, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And if you know anyone who would enjoy these videos, please share the link with them. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. I'm hoping to do one on one of the US Open quarterfinals, because there were some epic upsets. All right, we'll check you guys out then.